We are honoured to host this next panel to share more around the incredible heart behind what it is that this company is all about, Nutrition Plus. And, we've been a part of this company now for almost 7 years, and I remember hearing at, the conferences, we're the company with a heart. And it probably took a good few years of our journey before we really, truly understood the impact that was happening behind the scenes. And the more we learnt, the more it impacted our own lives. The more we learnt that as we grew our own business and we helped more customers get started on their health journey, that we were helping contribute to the health and nutrition of Indigenous communities in Australia and New Zealand. And I think what's really special, I don't know about you, but if you look at all of the charities and causes that are out there, there's a lot of corporate, there's a lot of marketing, and all the money that gets donated kind of gets lost along the way, and rarely does it get to exactly where it needs to go. And the beautiful thing about Nutrition Plus is that 97% of every single dollar that is raised towards this beautiful cause goes to the people exactly where it's needed, which I just think is incredible. So the people who you're about to hear from today, they're literally the head of it all, and we're so excited to be able to share that with you.
So if you could help me welcome to the stage Louise, Glennie, founder and CEO of Nutrition Plus. Elsie, Stuart, proud Aboriginal woman from the Biripi Nation. Also First Nations Advisory Committee for Pride Worldwide, been with Nutrition Plus for 4 years. And David Newham, Manager of Reconciliation and Cultural Education.
One of the things that some of you may or may not know is that everyone that you're helping is contributing towards this mission, and I think the more you know and understand, the more you'll be excited to get behind it in so many different ways. So, Louise, to get started, I would love you to share with us how did Nutrition Plus come to be?
Thanks, Kate. We're so honoured to have you guys up here with us. It's a real treat, so thank you for that. Well, when something happens in your life that changes your life forever, some of you might be experiencing something like that over this weekend. And, well, that happened to me as an undergraduate when I was at uni, and I had the privilege of having Professor Bill Jonas as a lecturer. Now, Bill went on to do some amazing things. He was the Australian Commissioner for Human Rights at one stage, and he worked for the UN in New York. But I didn't even know he was Aboriginal until one lecture he started talking about health and wellbeing stats and why they were so appalling. And so he started to share the Australian history that wasn't in the history books. And too much today, that's still the case. He started to share about stolen generations, massacres, introduced diseases, and government policies that really weren't very helpful. They were either designed to divide and conquer, or they were assimilationist, and they both resulted practically in genocide. So what he shared was really hard-hitting and very, very powerful, and it planted a seed, and I really didn't know what to do with it at that stage. I didn't know how to water it. But I kind of knew that somewhere down the track there would be an opportunity. But it took over 20 years when another life-changing event happened, when Peter and I were offered the business. And at that moment I had absolute clarity. So I had something that would make a difference, and all of a sudden I had additional resources, everything at my fingertips, that I knew that I could do this. I knew that I could start a charity, and I was so grateful for where I was in life that it was the right thing to do. I wanted to give back. And so we started Nutrition Plus. It also, at that time, reconciliation was talked about a lot, and closing the gap. So it was really coming from that space as well.
So could you share, obviously this has touched you personally, and how that has done that, and also what's got you so passionate about this?
Okay, well, I think first of all, we're still looking at some pretty appalling statistics, and there's some up on the screen there that are from this year's Closing the Gap report. And while we've had some wins, for instance, life expectancy, we've had some decreases in cardiovascular disease, but it's replaced with cancers. But, you know, when we look at children in particular, there's the child mortality rate really hasn't gone down. When it comes to education, enrolments have gone up, but attendance hasn't really. And there's a big gap with literacy and numeracy. And then, of course, employment is still appalling, and incarceration is really bad. And in some states, we're still locking up 10-year-olds, which I find really hard to think about. And then, of course, there's the resulting Aboriginal deaths in custody, which are not decreasing either. Yes, on a personal note, I've learnt a lot. I've learnt a lot in my journey. I've learnt that there is a lot of commonality. I've learnt from a spiritual perspective that there's so much overlap, that the Aboriginal people have a very deep and profound connection to the Father, or the Creator, or Bayami, and also to Mother, the Mother Earth. And from a scientific perspective, because I'm an ex-scientist, geological timescales, they knew all about those. They knew about the birthing and the death of rocks. That takes a long time. They knew about ice ages. They knew about sea level changes. They knew about volcanic eruptions and earthquakes and floods and droughts. They knew also what we would term quantum physics. There's some quirky stories around space and time relativity, and they knew that everything was made of the same thing. So I've learnt a lot. But I think one of the most powerful stories that I have learnt from Uncle Paul Gordon, who is the Nutrition Plus senior cultural mentor, was a story he shared, or a way of viewing life that he shared around making decisions. And he said to me, you know, traditionally, Aboriginal people, when they had a big decision to make, they would look back in the generations and they would think about the memory of those people and whether they would be honouring that memory, whether they would be respectful of that memory. And then looking ahead into future generations and thinking about what would be the impact on future generations. And that got me to thinking, you know, if only we'd listened to this kind of advice in the past, would we be still using fossil fuels, which many of us believe are causing climate change? Would we be mining the way we do and disrespecting our First Peoples culture? Would we look at each other differently? And would we look and treat ourselves differently? Would we have the massive decline in species of plants and animals that we have in ecosystems? And would we be thinking, you know, progress, of course, leads to the next generation having a better life, but does it? Does it really? You know, would we instead be thinking about how can we help future generations? How can we really help them? What do we need to do now? Instead of, you know, what's in it for me and what can I get out of it for me right now? So, thank you.
Thank you. It's you did really well. It's difficult to convey a message that is so it's so deep, it's so far seated. And I wanted to come up here because I felt like the message these guys have is just like the truest of truth. And I wanted you to really feel the soul behind what we're doing. And there's some really big topics, topics that people don't want to talk about. And to do that at a conference where it's positive and it's uplifting, but it still has to be mentioned. And so, is there anything else you want to share? I won't say that. That's an open question for you. We're off to Elsie.
Yeah, I think we'll hand over to Elsie because, Elsie does the guts of the work in the projects.
Amazing. Thank you, Louise. Well, Elsie, you've been a part of the Nutrition Plus team for 4 years now, and one of the things that I love about what you are all about is really looking forward to the future generations and the impact. Can you share a little about the impact that you're currently making with Nutrition Plus?
Sure, I'd love to. A few weeks ago when we first sat down with these guys to talk about what we were going to speak about today, Anthony asked me, what do I want the audience to feel? And I think that's changed a lot for me over the last few days and even in the last half an hour. What I want you guys to feel and to know is you are actually Nutrition Plus as well. If you look down on your lanyards, if you've got a little orange thing that says Nutrition Plus supporter, or even if you don't, every box that you sell is contributing to what we do. So if you have a look at the screen here, and feel free to take photos of this because I think it's all pretty amazing. So since 2008, we've raised $960,000. That's huge.
Amazing.
And that's 57 active projects. And at the moment, we've got 37 current projects going and 2,500 serves every week going out to schools. That's not a month or a year, that's every week. And that wasn't there before.
That's incredible.
So we have 20 schools currently. If you have a look at the image on the left, that was just a few weeks ago on the bash. And I can tell you how many kids are in that school. I think 30 kids, and all of them were in the cars. Like, it was mental.
I think I forgot to tell that story.
You did, but that's okay. I can kind of tell it for you if you like. When we went to this school, Louise has been doing this for a long time, and even she was shocked by what she saw at this school. The children were happy, but I think that when you're faced with seeing the way they're living and seeing their schools and where they're growing up, it's quite hard-hitting for some people. So for even the CEO of the company to go, oh, I didn't really realise there were still schools like that. There are. So I think that was pretty big for us. And so we've got 13 small grant projects, which is also quite huge, I think. And I'll quickly touch on the image on the left again, and on the right is probably my most proud project. It's the Purple Bus project in the Northern Territory. And so they travel to remote communities and put people on dialysis that wouldn't travel into the hospital. So the longevity of their lives due to this bus and support by people like us and you is huge on those communities as well.
Amazing.
Yeah. We've got our 10 Million Meals project, which Fee Taylor is here somewhere. She's been running one up here for quite a few years now. And Mick Egan, one of the directors of Juice Plus in Newcastle. And they're feeding the homeless and disadvantaged, and I think that's pretty wonderful too. So my vision, our vision, which is a little bit hectic, but we like to do things like that, is we would like to raise $2 million before 2025. So we're already almost at $1 million, but we want to hit $2 million in the next 4 years. And I need your help to do that.
Amazing. What do we say, team? Can we be a part of that? You think about everybody. And what I love is that, so you're helping put Juice Plus into the hands of children in schools, but you're also going beyond that and helping with different projects as well with different health elements. And it's not just in Australia, but also in New Zealand too, right?
Yeah, so we've got 4 projects over in New Zealand now. We would like more for the New Zealanders listening. If you have any projects for us, schools, small grants, we would love to be doing more in New Zealand, so get in touch with us.
And our next round of grants close on the first Friday in November. So we're running two lots of grant applications each year. And so if you miss out one time or you don't get it in on time, don't worry. We've got another lot in 6 months' time. So, yeah.
Amazing. So Elsie, can you share, how can we as partners get involved to help you work towards that mission?
So you can sell more products, that's one way to do it. You can do your own fundraisers. So I know that there's already a lot of you that do fundraising for us and send us the proceeds from that. Angela Simpson last year, I know she was doing team days and charging $5 to every person that went and then was passing that on to us. So that's another huge way to do it. But any way you can think to fundraise, like work with us, we're very approachable. I'm a bit nervous now, so maybe don't come straight after I get off stage. If you give us a little while, come and have a chat out the front and we can talk about some ways to do that.
I'd like to shout out to Christine Drummond, who's just walked a marathon with her team. Her team to help raise money. So if you see on social media someone doing a fundraiser that's a little bit out of the box and doing something for Nutrition Plus, please jump in there and support them, because you're also supporting us and the work that we do.
We are sort of doing things a little bit differently these days to try and make some more money for the charity, I guess, and that is, I'll let David explain that. That's sort of David's role, and that's quite exciting, and I think the next couple of years for Nutrition Plus are going to be huge, and I think that you can get involved with us with that as well.
Cool.
Over to you.
Yeah, well, first, give yourselves a round of applause. Come on. You don't even know why, eh? You just want to clap. Yeah, got you. No, that's because we can't do what we do without you and two shoes at 2:02. I won't rap, you're good at that. So that's very important for us, and we are only a team of 3. I know Elsie and I were yarning about that out the front. This is it. This is Nutrition Plus. Might surprise you, I don't know. I feel we do a lot of heavy lifting for 3 people, and we aren't full-time at all. So I think that's also important. But again, thanks to you fellas. And Anthony, you want to ask me something? Is this a true story?
Your role with the cultural education. Talk to us about that, because I think it was a key piece, something that was very influential for us.
Yeah. And so I am the manager of reconciliation and cultural education, and you may not have picked up, but earlier there was a group of fellas on stage that danced. I don't know if you saw them. They went all right. And there was a reason why we asked 6 individuals to come up and join. I was a part of that. I just gave that away. Yeah, I was there. Asked them to come up because last year they participated in one of these cultural education camps, these experiences in the Mid-North Coast. And seeing not only our relationship with those individuals flourish and develop and change and shift, seeing what it did for those as individuals, as families, and the relationship and the bond that was created through those as our leaders in the Juice Plus company and with their charity, just reinforced and cemented the reason why we do what we do in that space. And so what I wanted to do was I'm going to share a little story. I'm going to go for a walk. And those that know me a little bit, you know I like a yarn. And I just want to, before I do that, I need to acknowledge Jammu Paul Gordon, who some of you have met. And a lot of what I'm about to share with you and get you to turn your cogs over on comes from that man and what he's passed on to thousands of people in Australia, which you got to experience and we get to experience a lot. The men of Wakagiti are a part of. He's my cultural grandfather. And it's the reason why I probably still am here today living, the way he changed my life over getting close, over into 3 decades, getting me to understand where I am and who I am and how I got here. So I'm going to go for a walk and have a yarn. I won't trip over half the forest that we left here. Because I'm more natural walking and talking. So I want you to just relax for a moment. clear your mind, center yourself, because I'm going to have a little story. So today, what I've noticed is that we're more polarised than we have ever been in any other time in history. We seem to have lacked, or we're fast approaching this lack of ability to find common ground on anything. You even see people arguing and nearly getting into a punch-up over their food preferences. Oh, you're a vegan? What? I'm not. Great. But you both eat food. And it's a bit of a concern. We have never been more detached or separated than any other time in history. This is a dichotomy. It's ironic because, on the other hand, we've never had more access to technology and communication channels that keep us, if we want to, connected. As I say that, people got their phones up and we're Zooming and doing all that stuff. Now, it did come in handy and it's got great place, but we've never been more disconnected. And this dichotomy, this irony, is tearing apart our communities. It's tearing apart our countries. It's tearing apart our world. We are not connecting. And I've paid attention over the years, and I've noticed I do some work, and I wonder if we're all here, we're connected. What I've noticed as well is that in this world, there seems to be a really big focus on what our rights are, what I'm entitled to, what's in it for me, what about me, thinking about self, endless self-promotion, thinking inwards. There's a lack of caring, a lack of kindness. We seem to be fighting more than ever. This common ground stuff is there. We think that relationships are self-serving. There's a growing lack of resilience. Where's the love, unity, the caring, kindness? That's where we're at. And you sort of sit back and think that's a bit of a worry, because I know we can do better. And what I want you to just do now for a moment is think about living in a world, in a society where the starting point is focusing on your responsibilities, unbending, fulfilling your responsibilities and obligations to people and place. I'm going to say that again. We're starting from fulfilling responsibilities and obligations to people and place, to humans and the planet, where kindness is rife, sharing, giving, thinking outwards. There's no stress, there's no disease, no illness, where relationships come first and then knowledge is shared, where we come together as people from this land have done for over 150,000 years and celebrated what we had in common. Celebrated what we had in common. Not focusing on what our difference is. Imagine living in a world where, and I think this will resonate, where you know your story, you share your story, others know your story, and you know where you've come from. You know your story, you know where you belong, and you can truly answer the question of, who am I? And how did I get here? Who am I? And how did I get here? Not in an Uber. But how did you get here? I was just a bit serious, so I had to throw that in. Well, here's the good news, friends. That is accessible. We can get there, and it is within reach, because you're Juice Plus people, you're connected to Nutrition Plus, and that it's in a story. Accessing that and seeing that shift, well, that belongs in the land. The land talks to us. It has knowledge and wisdom. It feeds us. Right? I think maybe we've forgotten that. Sadly, maybe some people don't realise that. But that's where it is. So what I'm thinking is, well, if we sit and we listen with people who are connected to the land, who want to share with us, sit, be still, calm your spirit, and look, listen, to learn, you can access that. It'll be there for you. It has wisdom. And it's a very good saying. And ancient wisdom and knowledge for modern challenges. Sitting with traditional knowledge holders across your lands and sharing story, connecting. And that's what's accessible to you through our cultural education programs with Nutrition Plus. It's what these guys experienced last March at Yamba. And not only will that give you an opportunity to open up and know more about your story, because friends, if you're here in Australia and you call this place home, this story is for you. It's not just for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. This story is, this is our Mother Earth, this is our planet. That's your story, it's our story. And so, come on with us. So I invite you, we invite you to step in, walk with us, and be a part of the change, because change is needed. Now, it's been really encouraging, because the last 18 months or so, what we've seen is the world has, and our communities have said, oh man, we're going to shake things up a little bit. It's been a rough 18 months, both with the environment and health challenges. And people have said, yeah, this has opened up a doorway or a gateway to say, you know what, we need to change the way we do business. And in fact, we need to change the way we do life. Change is needed. Change is coming. Walk with us and be the change. Dugani Bira Injamrata Manang Newham Baraga. Give selflessly. Give freely. Respect, humility, trust. And now, there's a little clip we're going to play. It's 90 seconds. It's not a TikTok or whatever. Is that what it's called? TikTok, something? Book face and all that. So, cue the 90-second clip. Might come back to you. And by the way, just to quote one of my brothers from earlier, I'm just here living my best life. Yeah.
What we actually did here at the camp is they got to try hands-on cultural activities and be in that cultural practice, song and dance, campfire yarns, actually got involved in a traditional corroboree here on the grounds and build relationships. But this new cultural education training avenue that we've created with Wakigiri is an opportunity at first where we're going to target corporate Australia. Corporate Australia's attitude and commitment to reconciliation and social responsibility has taken a shift, and we want to be a part of that story because we believe that we have access to relationships to help them on that journey.
For us to come together as a family to do this, that was what we really hoped to get, to come away, to be together, to hear from some wonderful people, to hear some great stories and just be around things that we knew were gonna lift us up and fill us up and have some fun. It was good to just get together and have fun together.
The last said, Johnny, what did the old people teach us about throwing things at one another? It's wrong. They told us we shouldn't throw things at one another. We might hurt each other. The boomerang went around his head twice. On the third time it came back and went choop. Every Australian needs to realise that Australia is a beautiful place that needs to be looked after. Give them the opportunity to learn about their responsibility to one another and to this country, and make the world a better place and put them in a better place. To walk kids in front of you can tell you their story about how their world's changed after attending these camps. What Nutrition Plus has done for us over the years is financed some of our camps for us through the charity, giving lots of Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal children opportunities to learn about Australia. A long time ago, back in the Newham, the Thickybillah was a little furry creature like a kangaroo.
Okay, so just one thing I do want to mention to you. Outside on the Wakagiddy and Nutrition Plus table, we're having a little competition. And guess what, friends? It's free. You know, it's free competition to get involved. And everyone is not a winner, okay? Because that's not real life. But what we're asking you, thanks man, you got that, that's good. So what we're asking you to do is come and see us, and if you know what traditional lands that you are living on, or if yourself are an Indigenous person, Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, Māori, or from another place, or you have multiple connections, write your name, your contact number, just a mobile, and what the traditional mob is that you are living on or are connected to, and roll up that little raffle ticket, COVID safe, and drop it in the glass container. And we're going to draw a winner out, and you'll win a bark dish, a coolerman, with some lovely flowers, styled by yours truly here, Elsie. If you're stuck, we're going to map that will show you the very large existence of the different Aboriginal groups here in Australia. And it's about just you knowing a little bit more about your story and playing the game and having fun. And I think what you'll notice with that map is it's a visual aid to show you, despite how diverse traditionally for tens of thousands of years the people of this land were, they never fought with each other, didn't build castles, didn't have big wars or walls, because they came together and celebrated what they had in common. That was their starting point. So come and check us out over there. And yeah, and did you hear about the fish that swam into the wall? You know what he said? Damn.
Thank you, guys. I wanted to share about our experience at that camp. Maybe even a little bit further back. You know, on the couch earlier, I shared briefly. There was a point where I thought maybe I got it wrong. You know, became the doctor and got the degrees and got the business, but then I saw someone else living the lifestyle that I wanted, and that's why I looked at Juice Plus in the first place. And then we go along to this camp. And it kind of struck me again as I think I got it wrong, because you know we were living in a society where it was about self, it was about pursuing material goods and all of these things, which is fantastic. But sitting around that fire with Uncle Paul, hands down, it was the most profound experience of my life, and just hearing him speak the truest of truths. You know, the ones that just hit you in the heart and just like. Doesn't matter what, I don't need research for this, it's just true for me. And to have our children there and to hear the stories and experience and look at a way of life where they just got it right, you know, and it was on these lands. And so that term, you know, ancient wisdom to solve modern day problems, I believe in my heart of hearts, if we embrace the culture, the philosophies, the way of life, the perception, the relationships, we can have this sense of peace, we can have this sense of calm, and achieve huge success, but not in order to then feel good. It's a whole different, it turned the whole game on its head for me. And so I wanted to be more involved because I wanted to fast track that experience for people, because it took me a good 5, 6, 7 years, because I did come into the business, and if, you know, Nutrition Plus, that was kind of the bolt-on charity associated to the business. But if there's a way that you can do life, do business, and contribute to this amazing cause, you really get to sense the soul and the heart of this company. And so, my family, Katie, we're just so grateful for what you guys do. The message, the impact, and I'll stop talking.
I have just one last thing to add. Another way that you can actually contribute to Nutrition Plus is to attend one of these cultural experiences. And I can say as a family, it was amazing. We had some of our team come along as well as the other leaders. And I believe, David, there's 3 scheduled on the in the coming months, so you can go have a chat to them at Nutrition Plus at the stand, because that would be another way for you to learn more about this beautiful culture and the wisdom, and to also know you're giving back to this cause, and which will end up impacting nutrition and lives of children and families all around Australia and New Zealand. So thank you so much, all of you, for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.